that? Earthquake! Earthquake?
Warning. This program contains sexually oriented material and graphic violence.
Peaks tonight.
Cheap Peaks!
Cheap Peaks, gang! Tonight, as if you can't tell, it's Zilla Noir night, and we've got three great Zilla classics ready for you.
Yeah.
We've got... What you got for us, Brian? What kind of Zilla classic?
Brian Hansen.
Well, it's technically it's a Zilla classic. It's Mothra.
Mothra.
Brian Hansen has Mothra.
Mothra.
And Mark Van Babel, our other film critic, has...
I have the classic, the original Godzilla, King of the Monsters. David.
And I, your host, David Boone, has...
You've got
King Kong versus Godzilla.
VS Godzilla.
All right,
a classic.
Brian.
A classic.
All right, Brian. I'm a
Brian.
tetralogist. How about you?
Well, okay. Well, who wants to take it away?
Okay,
with our first Zilla classic?
Godzilla. Let's take a look at it. This is the original, made in 1956.
Starring...
And he's attacking his train, and he's going to put his foot down, right down in the middle of those tracks. You know?
Whoa, Godzilla is on the loose.
Great black and
You
white.
know, why
Now, this is actually a guy in a suit,
Why
right?
doesn't Godzilla attack the South Texas
Is this a
nuclear
guy in a
project
suit?
like
Well,
this?
this train, see, he doesn't like trains. He doesn't like any sort of mass transportation.
Take that,
And he
Bechtel
doesn't-
Corporation.
Obviously,
Take that, Brown and Root.
Obviously, Godzilla is a suburbanite because he doesn't like these. He's always attacking Tokyo. You ever wonder about that? Why is he always attacking Tokyo?
Well, that's because it's an allegory for nuclear destruction.
How do they do this? That's right. Well, the one thing that keeps recurring in these movies is they can't use nuclear weapons to attack them because, let's face it, Japan didn't have any nuclear weapons. So
Well, there's this nuclear dinosaur with a nuclear bad breath trashing Tokyo, and I think that's
right. Obviously, his breath is atomic bomb wash.
What kind of a dinosaur is
He's got the
this?
train in his mouth. You know?
It's not
Whoa,
shaking
tooth
up that
decay.
This is a really great film. Now,
A lean and young Raymond
Lean
Burr.
Now, let me
but he's still got those deep-set drug eyes.
Let's take some explanation. Godzilla was a Japanese film with Japanese actors in Japanese, and it was a big success in Japan. And then they took Raymond Burr and shot a few extra scenes and sort of incorporated them into the movie. And then they had an American version of Godzilla. And the typical way they do it is, you see these guys and they're talking Japanese to each other, and Raymond Burr says, "Oh, well, my Japanese isn't terribly good," or "What did they say?" And then they give the English version of what the guy said.
Oh, brother.
So Raymond, he basically narrates the whole film. He even narrates the love scene, which is pretty weird.
Well, who directed this film, Marcus?
Well, I have absolutely no idea who directed this film, David. But,
Well, Marcus,
could you tell me?
It was in Shiro Honda.
We sure.
Shiro Honda.
Well, he directed all the great.
Did he direct all his
Maybe a call
classics?
from the zoologists
Sure.
out there, because I know there's a lot of
Zoologists.
Godzilla fans out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of Godzilla fans, and this is probably the classic Godzilla movie, and probably the best one. I think, in fact, this is the only one I can really recommend.
Well,
after
the great
watching
thing
them
about
all,
Godzilla
but,
is that it's an allegory for nuclear destruction.
That's right, and obviously Godzilla is a weapon of mass destruction, and
he's unloosed
everything's
upon poor
powerless.
Japan.
Well, not only just mass
against
destruction, it's he's metaphorical for the nuclear annihilation that hit Tokyo and Hiroshima.
Yeah, now, I
you're
understand what's
absolutely
really
right
interesting about this
that.
film. It was released in Japan, I think, in, 1953?
So it's like 8 years after the blast.
And
Took them 8 years to assimilate.
And it took 2 years to get the American version, which was pretty much expertly cut with Raymond Burr sort of inserted in.
Yeah, it's sort of given away at sometimes. Let's look at this second clip here. Now here, now Raymond Burr, he plays this journalist called Steve Martin, and
oh, really?
That's right. His name's Steve Martin, and this scene right here is where Godzilla is coming into Tokyo, and they've put high tension lines.
Go, guy, go!
High tension lines around the city.
Wow, that's rocking.
Godzilla's really pissed off. He's storming through there and waving his hands around, Really great effects here. I mean, for 1956.
Is there a female in this that like gets her proportions all?
Her titties massaged or something? No, but there is a love story. There is a love story in Godzilla. There is a girl.
The dictionary for
She's in love with this scientist. And then there's another scientist that she's supposed to be married to, and it's sort of a love triangle, and Raymond Burr narrates the whole thing. Now there he's sort of melting down those towers, and
with his nuclear breath.
I still don't know what kind of a dinosaur this is.
Well, it
it's
is
some sort of.
it's a combination between Tyrannosaurus Rex and the one with the funny blades on the back. What was that called?
Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus.
But
Dinosaur lore.
I know that saurists are just
Now-
going to
now,
cut
but
us to
it's-
ribbons because we don't have the technical.
Well, as a kid, didn't you love
subspecies.
this movie? Wasn't it a great
It's got
film?
a Zillasaurus or something like that.
I just
Zillasaurus.
everybody liked dinosaurs. Every little American male boy.
Well, they're definitely
brought up in the
popular
50s
now.
with
In fact, there are
dinosaurs.
retail establishments dedicated completely to
Sure.
saurology.
Well, yeah, of course. Where's my Zilla?
But there aren't any
You taking my
tetralogy.
Zilla? Here's a big Zilla. All these great things. This one's on fire.
One Zilla fits all.
Now let's look at this next clip here. Now here Godzilla is, the planes are attacking Godzilla, and Godzilla is
he
is
is
going to the
really
city.
good.
Look at that shot there with the feet on the street. That's really, it's really a great shot. Now here you're going to see some of the more cheesy effects. David, if you could pay attention.
He is paying attention. In his own
The
way.
fire trucks are.
Is that viewer mail?
I don't think so. It's not time for viewer mail yet. I see that the city's on fire. Tokyo's on fire here, and I think it's some instances maybe. And the fire truck's going by. Now look at these minutes. Look at these minutes. Check this out. Watch this shot here. We have this. We have Godzilla. Okay, they cut to a shot of Godzilla, and he sprays him with juice, and just keep going. And spraying, and the fire trucks are coming after. Now look at that. See, rear protection. That's a model. That's real.
Oh, speed it up under crank camera.
Yeah, now look at this. Check this out.
Whoa! That's
Hey,
a
can
drag
we-
action.
Let's
Yeah,
scan back and watch
okay.
that one
No,
again.
let's program forward.
Oh, come on.
I do want to see that
Dad.
last. Here it is. Here it is. That's the last thing.
Oh, this
again,
is really cool.
These are
He
miniature.
turns right and the thing, that's great.
Yeah, a little
top
stop
spin. Put a
motion.
little top spin on
little
that.
top action on there. So, okay, now in this next scene here, just moving right along.
You know, an interesting thing about this.
Does this have a different ending in the United States as opposed
Now
to
Godzilla dies at the end of this movie. Now here Godzilla has spotted the
Godzilla
paparazzi.
can't
This is the Japanese
God.
Japanese paparazzi in this tower here.
Can't fucking
And
kill
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Yeah, well, Godzilla.
a bunch of crap.
Well, okay, well, you're going to see it. I'm going to show it to you. Now, the scientist, this crazy scientist, he's come up with the oxygen destroyer. Oxygen destroyer actually kills.
He's an oxidizing agent.
That's right. It's an oxidizing destroyer, and you throw it in the water, and it kills everything that's in the water. You know. Now, Raymond Burr here.
Well, you know, Warner Brothers released the sequel to this, which is little known, but it's Return of Godzilla, which was
really?
made in Japan.
Really?
And Warner Brothers bought the rights, but they didn't own the right to the name Godzilla, so they released it in the United States in 1959 as Gigantus, the Fire Monster. But it's really Godzilla, the same guy in the suit, trashing Japan. And you can't
Really?
fucking kill
Well, in this shot, you can clearly identify that's a guy in a suit. Now, watch this shot.
With a
As
big
the-
CO2
as the-
extinguisher in his face.
As the planes go by.
Hey,
Look-
come on,
look at it.
Frost Breath, over here!
Look
Over
at that.
here!
Look at
No,
that.
this
Look at
way!
that.
This way! This
Hey,
way! He's
You know
all
how they made the
confused!
voice to Godzilla?
I'm a
They
buzz
took
bomb! I'm a buzz
elephants going,
bomb!
Elephant. Now here, guys.
But they
this
ran
is,
it backwards.
This is one of
They
the
ran that
last. This is one of the last
And they had
shots in the movie.
Some
This is one of the-
Japanese
this is
guy
one of the
doing an
last
elephant.
shots
They
in the
ran that
movie.
backwards.
And
And that's how you get
Godzilla is.
Pick the bad route to
They've thrown the
go
oxygen
slower.
destroyer into Tokyo Bay.
Okay.
And it's coming down, and Godzilla is sinking under the wave.
I need fire.
Here we go. Here's fire. And it's Godzilla sinking down, and he's settling down to the bottom of the ocean.
God, feel the static electricity on Godzilla.
And there you see Godzilla's body laying
I
at the
haven't
bottom of the
noticed that
ocean.
before.
He's
That
laying at
is
the
a
bottom of
real
the ocean.
phenomenon,
Look at this.
Marcus.
Look at this next shot. See Godzilla's skeleton. See, that's obviously a skeleton laying on the bottom of the ocean.
So the oxygen destroyer pretty much turns
Turned
Godzilla.
him into a skeleton.
Yeah,
It
it is
skeletized him. So
Okay.
that's all I've got for Godzilla. The
That's pretty good.
original Godzilla.
Okay, well let's move right on to Brian Hanson's offering for tonight's
Okay, Brian.
Zilla Noir Night, which is Mothra, 1961.
Or Mothra if you're Japanese.
Yeah, directed again by Inshiro Honda, who
that
also
right?
did Godzilla.
Eat
And,
yourself a Honda. It's built like a clock that's made less 100 years.
Okay, so we're ready for the first clip. If you want us to
Well,
roll
let
it.
me just bring up the. I'm sorry that. Boy, I got a hit on this thing.
get
Mothra
ahead,
really
Brian.
isn't a Zilla movie, but it does fall into.
well,
the,
it fits into the Zilla family
well,
of creatures.
right, the Zilla family, which I'm glad you brought that up. The triumvirate of Rodan, Zilla, and
You know, and an interesting thing
Mothra.
about that, the Zilla family, how does that represent modern society? Aren't we all essentially
Virgin
like
Mary,
Zillas?
Virgin Mary,
There you go.
Christ, and
Right.
Peter.
And Godzilla.
And Godzilla.
And God, our God,
The Holy
Zilla,
Trinity.
Zilla
There's
God.
the Father, the Son, and Godzilla.
And Zilla.
And
Obviously.
Gamera, the flying turtle that when it retracts its
Ghidra.
legs.
Is it a two-headed turtle? Or
No, it's
No,
a
no, no,
one-headed
it's-
turtle,
it's-
and
it's
Is that
it's the Holy
Rodan?
Trinity. When it spins, it retracts
It's
the
a-
legs and it spins and spews
What
out
I
fire.
like
That's
about
it spins like a
Mothra,
discus.
what I like about Mothra is that great 1,000-mile swim that the coelacanth does under. It's like a big slimy maggot.
Well, that's
And before-
biblical.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Sure.
In fact, it comes out of the what
It's
is it?
Jonah and
Jonah and the
whale,
Seedle moth.
Right.
or the thing. Or,
So it isn't really a dinosaur, but it turns into a big butterfly at the end, or a moth, but not to be confused with the moth.
the moth.
Right. The film is there's a big storm, of course, at sea, and of course, a ship is somewhat stranded, runs aground on a reef near A-bomb test sites. Of course, we know the Americans are the only one with A-bomb at this point in time. So it's
Bikini Atoll era.
Well, interestingly enough,
Did you know that
all
Bikini's in the northern Pacific? A lot of you people probably think Bikini's in the South Pacific, but no, the fallout
the
went over North
bikinis are at
America.
Barton Springs. Did you know that all of the Godzilla movies that we're watching here tonight, all of the Godzilla movies we're watching here tonight, all start the same way with ships at the ocean observing. Some
Yeah, so what does that mean? It's
So,
all
okay,
nuclear
phenomenon.
testing.
So there's two.
Every Zilla film
Okay.
is just a representation
So we ready
of
for this first-
nuclear destruction.
All right, let's roll this. Now, I chose this clip because.
But the interesting thing about it is the societal
I'm getting into that. I'm getting-
menagerie of all these
Now,
characters.
what's going on here? Are these Japanese?
Dave,
or-
later, okay?
David, give Brian a hand and let him do his.
Was this
I
the
just
voice
wanted
of
to
God
bring.
or something?
Now, here is my the voice of Zilla.
Zilla God.
Now, what's
Schlong of
happening here
Zilla.
is there's this big. The scientists are investigating the 4 survivors from the ship that managed to come back to Japan with these 2 dwarf girls that they found in this bikini
Oh, the
atoll.
twin dwarf girls.
And we talk about no bikini atoll. These little midgets become circus attractions, and yeah.
Is the voice of Zilla talking to
I
us
know,
again?
I'm getting all this interference.
Well, come on.
Okay,
Well, what
okay,
about
well, no,
this
look,
clip,
there are
Brian?
these
There's a
reports.
viewership out there that tunes in
Shut
that
up.
wants a certain amount of information, and you guys are just,
You just
blowing
missed
it off.
You just missed it. This photographer is in here, and these scientists are wondering, now, what is this photographer?
Watch those levels.
Remember Grenada? No reporters allowed on Grenada, thanks to Ron Reagan and Ed Meese and the boys and, Cap Weinberger, all those creeps. And here's the journalist. He's got a mask on. He, I'm a little journalist. And, whoa, no, we've got journalists aboard looking at scientific evidence. Maybe we got to
This precludes Grenada by what, a good 15
Right,
years?
this is what journalism was like
have we got any
prior
Mothra
to
action in this
Grenada.
clip?
Prior to the Reagan administration, we actually had journalists
Who
at the
needs
scene of
Mothra
this-
action when the government is so rife with political corruption
well, it's really important.
I don't know if
that
this is
President,
exciting
the President
as,
Reagan's
as the clip I showed.
Okay, look, you're going to hear it here first. There's going to be a big nuke accident later this year, around
really?
August, and if you're above the 35th parallel, I'd say look out. Now,
Criswell
fortunately,
predicted
most
that.
of our
Remember
Texas
Criswell?
viewers,
Well,
we're below the
Godzilla-
35th parallel.
Godzilla-
So there's no problem.
Criswell predicted big nuclear accident.
August.
And
the Hopis
vast
are on
cities where
Really?
homosexuals romp and roam with
Oh, why
gay
don't
abandon.
you speed ahead to one
Okay,
So
second?
you,
all right.
you can just think of that.
Next, you see what the next one is, right? Here's the voice of the American. He's saying there's no.
Mothra is secondary.
I'm trying to. You just spit past the stop. Here's my clip.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we wanted to see Mothra. So let me back up to